I believe that we need to focus on socioeconomic inequalities in education. We still have a situation where 75% of students in Trinity come from above average socioeconomic profiles, but only 5% of students in Trinity come from disadvantaged profiles. We have a situation where if you come from Dublin 6, you have a 99% chance of progressing to higher education, but if you come from Dublin 17, it's only a 15% progression rate. And we have a situation where even when you adjust for ability, these gaps are predicted by your socioeconomic profile. So these gaps have existed for a long time, but the recent pandemic and the school closures of the pandemic have actually worked in terms of widening these gaps. When schools were closed, not everyone had the same opportunity, and your household resources predicted how well you could succeed in this pandemic, whether you were able to access remote learning or not. And internationally, this has been recognized. In the Netherlands, a country that was viewed as having quite a good pandemic, and the schools were closed for only a few weeks, they have allocated €2,300 per student in catch-up learning initiatives. In Ireland, where our school closures were above the OECD average, we have allocated €92 per student in catch-up initiatives. And this is actually perhaps indicative of our priorities as a country so far. In fact, we have allocated more money to support the FAI, the RFU and the GAA in overcoming the pandemic effect than we have allocated to hundreds of thousands of students who are locked out of classrooms. And obviously I'm running out of time here, but there are many ways we can affect change in this area, but we cannot neglect it. We need to do active, proactive, targeted policies to help these children regain lost learning.
Ryan.
I believe that the Seanad and upper houses in general have something of a privilege in that they are able to take a more long-term strategic vision for the country that they represent. And in many ways, I feel this is where academia and politics should meet. Normally, in the lower houses, we're split between the opposition and the front benches of the government, and it's hard to get the research to the forefront of policy when people have to toe the party line and obey the party whip. But in the Seanad, independent voices are given the opportunity to advocate for policy-informed research, or research-informed policy. And we have the opportunity to speak out and not be afraid of breaking that party whip. In the Seanad, I would like to highlight issues and put forward policy solutions that are based on evidence, not just in educational inequality, which is my own research field, but evidence put forward by academics in different fields, because the research is being done there. The research on how to address the issues that we're facing in this country is being done in institutions like Trinity, like UCT, like NUIG. But there's a disconnect between the academic world and the political world. And I believe that's where the Seanad comes forward. So I advocate for putting forward policies that are not informed just by good intentions, but also by evidence and by research. And that is what I advocate to do in the Seanad. I think anyone who has been watching the news will feel an immense amount of empathy with the suffering that's being endured by the Ukrainian people. And naturally, I think this goes on into asking ourselves, what can we do as a country to ease their suffering? And in many ways, this has moved on into whether our neutrality is holding us back from assisting, for instance, in military terms. However, I think we should actually view our neutrality as being one of the things we can assist them with the most, because, truth be told, we're not a hard power and we never will be a hard power. But in many ways, we are a soft power. We have been described as such by The Economist, and this is exemplified by our having a seat at the Security Council at present. And so we should use that, and we should use our neutrality to give us a certain level of gravitas. That when we're speaking on this, we're not speaking because we're a member of military alliance. When we criticize the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we're not criticizing it as a member of NATO. We're criticizing it because it is wrong. And we should use our neutrality, and we should use our national and our international voice that our diplomacy gives us to criticize this and to exert as much pressure as we can on the Russian regime to de-escalate and to withdraw. But we shouldn't view our neutrality as silencing our voice. Rather, we should view our neutrality as giving us a voice of reason and of justice in a time when everything seems to be going upside down. I'm running for the Seanad to advocate for a new type of politics, one that puts forward policy that is informed by evidence and research, not mantra and divisive rhetoric. The Seanad is our permanent citizens' assembly, where members have the privilege to scrutinise and put forward policy that can shape our country's present and develops a strategic vision for our future. I believe we should view the Seanad as a gateway for cohesive policy, not as a gateway to the Dáil. Our society's problems will not be resolved merely by debates in the Seanad, but the policy that is shaped by the Seanad can help shape a fair society where people, regardless of their background, are given the best possible chance to fulfil their potential. I don't ask you to vote for me for who I am. I ask for your vote because you understand the value of the approach that I advocate to bring to the Seanad, one that is committed to promoting evidence, research-informed policy and a strategic view for our country.
Thank you, Ryan.